It's Coach Greg Doucette, and I'm here to talk to you about your heart rate during exercise and mainly focused on what heart rate you should be exercising at to burn the most fat or to get the most ripped for the summer or a bodybuilding show or bikini contest or what have you. So oftentimes people will ask, like, what heart rate should I go at? You know, you go on the treadmill or elliptical machines at the gym and you hold the rail and it'll tell you your heart rate, and people say, well, what heart rate shall I do? Or they'll say, I did my heart rate and it was 130. Is that good or bad? So before answering that, there's a lot of factors that I want to get into. So I'm going to go over some factors that influence your heart rate, and then I'll get right into what heart rate you should be exercising at. Okay, so first of all, your genetics. So we're all pre-programmed with a certain kind of like max heart rate or attainable heart rate that we can achieve based on our genetics. So you've often heard 220 minus your age will give you your max heart rate. That is only accurate for about 60% of the population. 20% is going to be higher and some way higher, and then 20% lower and some way lower. So, for example, I'm 220 minus my 43 years of age puts me at 177 as my max heart rate. And I've got my max heart rate to around 190. So that's higher than it would say. So obviously the scale is already off just on my own personal experiment, we'll call it. Age. The older you get, you tend to have a lower heart rate as you exercise. So if you just say, I'm exercising at 130, somebody else says I'm going at 130, but one's 60 years old and one's 20 years old, chances are the older person's going to have a harder time at that 130. So you can't just say, well, I'm at 130. That's good. You know what I mean? It depends on your age is another factor. The heat. So if you go inside versus outside, or if you're like sweating a lot or you're wearing like a lot of thick clothes, the heat dramatically increases your heart rate, like 10 beats a minute. So you could say, well, I'm going 150 all the time on your treadmill. Then you go outside for a run and you're like not even able to hold 150. And you're like, what's going on? Well, maybe you're outside running and it's cooler and the wind is blowing on you. So that lowers it right there, okay? Stimulants, just like caffeine, ephedrine, pre-workouts, anything that gets you going, that drives up the heart rate again. So if one day you went and you didn't take your pre-workout and your heart rate's 150, and another day you took your pre-workout, it's 150, it might be easy to get to 150 on one day and hard the other day, even at the same speed. So you can't just go by your heart rate again because you might not be able to get to that heart rate that you expected. Fitness level, the longer you train, the more your heart rate will be able to go up and be sustained for a long period of time. So I've been bike riding consistently now for about 16 months. And when I first started, it was hard to hold my heart rate in the 140s for like under an hour. But now that's easy for me. So you can see that's a huge difference. It went from being hard to easy with training. So now hard for me would be in the mid 160s versus the mid 140s. So I can exercise 20 beats a minute higher. Okay, so that's another factor is your fitness level. So you know, your coach can't just say exercise at 140 beats a minute. That's your fat burning zone for you type of thing. Because obviously with all these factors, your age and your genetics and your training level and the heat, and if you took pre-workout, it's gonna bump it up or down big time, okay? So that's just a few things that'll affect you. More scientifically, something else, cardiac drift. This is a huge one for me because I know I can hold, say, a heart rate of 163 for an hour. The first 20 minutes, my heart rate is not that high. I would almost have to sprint or go like super hard to get it that high because as the minutes go by, even at the same pace, so say I start riding my bike at 30 kilometers an hour, my heart rate might be 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. It might take 20 to 30 minutes to get to that zone where it's going to be maintained at. It's just your body takes time to kind of build up your heart rate. So if you go on a stepper or aerobics or whatever and you're holding the thing at 5 minutes and it says 120 and you're like, geez, I want to exercise at 150 and it says 120, it might actually be really hard at 120. It's just that you just started. You didn't get your body a chance to build up that heart rate to where you want it to be. So you do have to take that into account. So you can see heart rate already is like really a bad way to kind of judge how hard you're going, what you feel like, and where you should be, okay? Because there's so many factors. So fat burning zones, even on the machines it'll say, fat burning zone, like 65% of your max, and you look at your age and blah, 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 and it says I should go 115 to 130 beats a minute to burn fat. I have to be in that range. That's complete bullshit. That is stupid. That is nonsensical. It makes no sense at all, okay? Don't listen to that. Don't even look at it. Don't even take your heart rate if you're going to do that, okay? So there's no such thing as a fat burning zone. So what there is the slower you go doing cardio, the higher the percentage of fat that's being burned. Okay, so right now, think of me as sitting in a chair doing wheelchair aerobics, okay? This is very easy. I could probably do this for 12 hours straight and not die. I wouldn't be that tired, okay? I'm maybe burning right now 100 calories an hour. This is very easy. My heart rate's probably 80. So I'm burning probably 90% fat and then maybe 10% carbs. Now, if I have a fire alarm and I run out the house and I want to not die and I sprint like a madman, my heart rate goes really high, and so I'm going to burn more carbs and less fat. Now, if I sprint on a bicycle, I could probably, in a minute, burn, say, 2,500 calories per hour pace. Let's say I go 2,500 calories per hour. A lot of it is carbs and less is fat. But if you burn 2,500 calories versus 100, it doesn't matter if it's 95% fat at 100 because that's only 95 calories. Even if I'm only burning 10% calories of 2,500, that's 250. So it's still more fat. So in the bottom line, the harder you do your cardio, the more fat you're going to burn. So the fat burning zone is, every zone is fat burning. If you're not doing cardio, you're in a fat burning zone. If you're doing cardio, you're in a fat burning zone. If you sprint like a madman, you're going to burn a lot of carbs and you're not going to burn as much fat for that few seconds of sprinting. But then as soon as you stop, because no one can run 100 miles an hour for like all day, you're going to eventually stop. You're tired. You ran out of the house. The fire's over. You're breathing. You're resting. You're burning more fat now. So it doesn't matter. So it balances out. The harder you exercise, the more fat you burn. The bottom line is you have to burn more calories than you take in to lose fat. So it doesn't matter if your cardio is for fat burning zone, high zone, low zone, intermittent, low intensity, list, hit. Doesn't matter. Cardio is cardio is cardio. The more calories you burn, the more you're going to have fat come off of your body. Okay? Just remember that. All right. If you might want to know this, bradycardia is like if you have a lower heart rate than normal, max heart rate. Tachycardia, higher than normal heart rate. It's just some scientific terms if you're into that. When should you do cardio? Okay, so you absolutely should warm up before you do cardio. So that involves maybe 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, but 5 or 10 kind of in that minimum zone to get your body primed for the weight session. So you get your body sweating and just heat it up a little bit, and it prevents injuries and gets you ready for the gym type of thing. That's not the cardio I'm talking about. I'm talking about your actual cardio. Like your coach says, 30 minutes of cardio today, 1 hour today. Do it after weights, not before, okay? Does it matter if you do it at the same time as your weights workout? No. So if you want to wake up in the morning and do your cardio at 7 a.m. and then do your gym session at 5 p.m., be my guest. It does not matter. It the matters that you do to cardio. But you do not want to do an hour of cardio, for example, right before your weight session, because you don't want to be pre-fatigued to do weights, okay? So for example, if I ride my bicycle, which is right behind me, and I do 1 hour and I go hard, and then I go to the gym and try to do leg presses, my leg presses are not going to be as strong as if I just did a 10-minute warm-up and then did my bike ride after. So don't pre-fatigue and kill yourself and burn yourself out with cardio before weights, okay? That is important. So what heart rate should you exercise at? This is what you need to know. Could have started with this in the video and then it would have been done faster. You should exercise at the highest pace of cardio that you can do that doesn't make you sore or affect your weight training, okay? That's different for everyone. Notice I didn't say it's 130, it's not 140, it's not 60% of your max, it's not 80% of your max. So for me, I'm super fit now because I've been riding a bike forever. I can go at a high heart rate, say 150 beats a minute, for an hour right after I do my bench presses and stuff, and the next day my legs will feel like perfect, like it'll feel like I went for a 1 hour walk, okay? Another person would go at 150 and then not be able to move the next day because they will be dead. They have no fitness. So, for example, when I was flying back from Antigua yesterday, we were late for the flight because it was delayed, blah, blah, blah. Me and my girlfriend had to run to a flight. I was running, she was running. In about a minute, she was dying and basically having an asthma attack because she's not as fit as I am because I run all the time, exercise all the time. So if she does the same cardiovascular workout as me, she will be sore the next day and not be able to train, okay? So this is what you need to know. You need to exercise at the pace you can handle. When you first start out, so you just joined the gym, you just start your 16-week out prep, you can't start out at an hour a day cardio every day, boom, at a high pace. Your legs won't recover and you will suffer with less muscle growth. You cannot overtrain, so you need to avoid that. The longer you do cardio and the more fit you are, the longer these cardio sessions can last and the more you recover from it and don't have a problem. And at a higher pace. So your coach might say at 16 weeks out, you're doing 30 minutes of cardio a day. At 12 weeks out, you're at 45 minutes. At 8 weeks out, an hour. And by 4 weeks out, you're doing 2 hours a day, but you're so fit that it's not even bothering you. And the longer the cardio session lasts, the slower the pace has to be. So if I do 3 hours of bike riding at 150 beats a minute, I will be tired from that. My legs will not want to do squats the next day. But if I go for 3 hours at 130 beats a minute, that is like a walk in the park for me, and I will not be sore, and I can kill the gym the next day. So during your cardio sessions, go hard enough that it's easy still, but not so easy that you just don't even get anything out of it. So just walk that fine line of not being sore, not pushing yourself too much, and then just don't kill it too much. You're training to lose fat, not to win a marathon or a bike race. Now, if you were, boom, you train hard and that's totally different. But if you want to maximize muscle growth and be shredded year-round or just prep for your show, do cardio at a moderate pace for you that doesn't make you sore, that you can keep going, and the next day you're not sore, and you do cardio, the next day you're not sore. If you are sore and you push too far, back off, slow down your exercise, and you can test your heart rate. Maybe you wear a heart monitor, you try that, and it's 140 and you did an hour, and the next day you're like, man, I'm not sore at all, and you do 140, and you figure out, okay, well, 140 for you is easy. But make sure you're aware. If you drink a bunch of ephedrine, pre-workout, pump stimulant, whatever, boom, you're so wired up, your heart rate's going to be higher, so maybe you can go a little bit higher. Or at the start of your bike ride or cardio session, it might be a little bit slower. That heart rate might only be 120, but by the end of it, it's 140. Perfectly normal. So the average might be 140, but you might have started at 130 and then you ended at 150. So I hope this helps answer the question of how hard should you do your cardio? What heart rate should you be cardio to burn the most fat? And hope that answers everything. If you're interested in coaching, send an email, gregdoucette@hotmail.com. It's spelled just like my name. You can always follow me on Instagram, subscribe if you like, talk about fitness, diet, supplements, all that kind of stuff. We even get into like steroids, SARMs, all that stuff as well. So those are different topics you might be interested in. Obviously, just follow the laws of your country and listen to your doctor. Till later, I'm out.